Are you or a loved one a smite addicted psyker who basically has all close range to medium range covered save for long range? Or are you a zealot in the same kind of situation where you kind of need medium to long range covered, but you have the close range covered to a T? Well, this is the weapon I would recommend. Just for me personally, this is what I found really good. It's one of those that if you're not pinpoint, it's not going to do the best damage, but as you can see, if you are hitting the really, really good shots, you're going to take down a lot of the tough stuff pretty quickly, too. Now, this thing was my answer to the really annoying enemy types, at least for me. The Flak and the Carapace armored enemies are the ones that will give me the most trouble. Most weapons will bounce off of them, whatever. Especially when I play as a Psyker, I don't have the answer for these enemies all the time, so I wanted to kind of find it, right? Now, most of the time, people will be using a staff or two, and, months ago, I would have said the same thing. Why not just use that? But I learned how good a gun is on a Psyker, and it's hard for me to drop that after I've learned its value. The consistency it has, as long as you have ammo, of course, can be unrivaled at times. I mean, even the staves can only go so far depending on which one you pick. So, if you find that you have a close range one, why wouldn't you want something like this? But you can't have both of them, right? So, it kind of depends on what your build is at its very core, because, for example, an Assail or Brain Burst Psyker is not going to need this for any armored, carapace, flak, anything like that. They're not going to need it. They have something for that. That would be one of the setups I'd recommend a staff for. But if you're going for more of a melee centered kind of a psyker, or just one that wants to crowd control with its abilities, that's where this weapon kind of comes into play. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the end all be all, the best thing to use. I'm just going to tell you that it works, and it works damn well. That's kind of the whole thing there is you have to find a weapon that is consistent for you and what you want it to do, but also can hang in higher difficulties, which, mind you, this isn't even a high difficulty. This is only Malice. All the footage is in Malice, just so you know. So I'm not going to sit here and boast about how this thing can hang in, I don't know, Heresy or Damnation as easily. This is kind of just a jumping off point, okay? Kind of shows you that it might be able to hang. I mean, I have taken it in one Auric level Heresy mission, but even I realize that isn't enough data for a recommendation, good or bad. It really is just, you try it out, see for yourself if it feels right. If it doesn't, that's okay. If it's good enough for you, you put it through the ringer, the trials and tribulations, you push it to its absolute limit so you see what it needs, what it wants, what you need out of it, what it hates, whatever, man. It's just one of those things that you feel out more and more, and eventually it'll come together. Like, for example, the bolt pistol has the ability to stack bleed on targets, which at first I wasn't really using a lot of, but over time I learned that having the extra damage that bleed on a target is massive for saving ammo, helping out in terms of DPS, so that other teammates don't have to put as much into the enemy. There's a lot of little things like that that go a long way. Switching out the blessings and the perks on a weapon is very useful, and it'll lead to combinations that you may find really, really strong for you, or maybe some people will find weak for them. Now, the bleed stacks are really, really good because, if you pair it with a combat knife that also has bleed stacks on it, you can usually get them to tick down health pretty quickly, and it's actually really good for your ammo consumption. Also, if you do pair it with the combat knife, there are blessings or perks or whatever that, you get extra damage on a bleeding target if you hit it in the weak spot, so like a headshot, right? It's one of those things, too, that you just, you learn the combinations that work best for you. Like, say, if you didn't want to spec into bleed at all, you could use other things, like, there's one where point blank shots make an explosion happen. That one was pretty cool when I tried it. It was pretty fun. I don't know if it's one that I would always use, but it's fun. So why not have a little bit of that every now and then? The other one I do run a lot of is what, 100% weak spot damage or whatever. That thing is crazy, man. If you are pinpoint, this bolt pistol just puts motherfuckers right down without even hesitating, you know? Alongside that, you can actually use the special attack, the little bash, for kind of like a way to shove that shit in their face and then shoot it. It's a really cool little special attack that I find that I use way more than I thought I would at the end of the day. Not every weapon has a really good special attack, so it's good to keep in mind the ones that actually do, ones that have a usable one rather than a flashlight, for example. So, what's bad about this thing? A weakness, if you will, rather than a strength. It's got 8 bullets in a mag. Yeah, that's probably one of the only downsides to me, is that the ammo isn't always the best, but it hits so goddamn hard, it's hard to say that it's bad, you know? If you get one with a decent enough set of stability, you can spam it as well. Like, you can spam the shots, and the actual, like, shot cadence is alright. There's not a lot of kick. It resets right down to where you were aiming. But if you don't have a lot of stability, yeah, man, this thing kicks like a fucking mule. God damn. You really have to space your shots out if you're leveling the weapon up, for example, because it's not going to have good stability at a low level. So you're going to be shooting and it's going to be aiming at the sky, basically. You got to really learn how to control this beast of a gun before you just take it out there and use it efficiently. Because that's one thing I did was I would just spam the shots thinking it's like the one in Space Marine 2, and it's not. This thing is proper. This thing is a fucking beautiful beast of a weapon. The sound of it, the kick of it, the just general feel of this thing is so phenomenal. There's only a few things wrong with it. Like I said, the ammo, bad stability if you get that. And I mean, some people may think the sight is bad. I don't think so. I think the sight is almost perfect, truth be told. So, you know, you'll find out what you hate about it or what you like about it if you use it. That's just kind of how it works, right? Now, as far as pairings go, my favorite is the combat knife because of the dual, like, bleed synergy between the two. But for the most part, you don't have to pair it with anything in particular. You can just pick whatever. There's not like a specific one thing that you have to use with the bolt pistol. You kind of just use whatever you feel like is proper, whatever you actually like. If it is the combat knife, cool. If it's a assault chain sword, amazing. If it's the assault chain axe, props to you. Fucking, you have a little bit of culture in your bones. But you kind of can get the point I'm getting at here, right? It's like the bolt pistol is the important part there. It's not the other stuff that make it, alright? The stuff that makes it good is within the bolt pistol, alright? The melee is kind of whatever you want, whatever class you want on it. I mean, 3 of them can run this thing, alright? Would I run it on Veteran? I have, but it doesn't feel as clean. It feels best on Zealot, and it feels really, really good on Psyker as well. Just kind of one of those things that you figure out as you try it out, right? And that's kind of what I found out is a Zealot uses it the best, at least for me, because of the mobility and the high damage the thing has. I can always stay moving, and depending on how you spec out your Zealot, it is good to be always moving, always running, whatever. As you've seen a little bit though, the non-flak and non-carapace armored enemies kind of do die quickly with this thing, so it's probably why I would recommend flak and carapace, because those are the two that kind of eat a little more damage, maybe unyielding as well. Some of the enemies that are unyielding can eat a little bit of damage, but if you're hitting headshots, it won't matter at the end of the day. Damage that you actually end up hitting them for will offset the fact that you aren't specced into unyielding or whatever. I feel flak and carapace are the ones that wouldn't let that happen so easily. They wouldn't let that fly, if you will. It's that armor, man. It's that little bit extra armor that just throw that wrench in there. I guess that's also why I stack bleed on the bolt pistol, because, if I want to shoot at flak or carapace armored enemies, that is going to help bleed their health down ever so slightly. It's going to help me not have to hit just headshots to kill them. You know, I can fit in a body shot or two, and the dot damage will do its job. It'll help me alongside any teammate that shoots at him. Every little bit of damage that you're gonna do to an enemy is probably going to help the team if you think about it. So why not add a little bit extra on there? That's why I run the bleed, and I also run the extra weak spot damage or the critical weak spot damage, whatever. Either way, you're getting a ton of damage from this gun. I think that's kind of why it only has 8 shots, because this thing goes crazy good with bleed. It goes crazy on headshot damage. The thing is just so good. I can sit here and gush about it for quite a while. The bolt pistol quickly became my favorite due to how consistent it became once I leveled it up. I started noticing every little stat point is helping it. It's the stability, it's the collateral, it's the reload speed, it's all of this stuff coming together to help the damage stat, for example, do its job. There's so many things about this gun that are good and barely any that are bad, right? So, you know, it's an easy one to say, like, yeah, this is my favorite. Or this is like, you know, the best weapon for X class for me or whatever. But for you, different story. You could be running different things. You could want different things out of the gun. So that's why I say try it before you fully commit to a weapon like this, of course. There's a lot of materials that go into upgrading the damn thing, so definitely try to get a good one. Maybe get a good one off of the drops, off of the fucking armories. You know, Brunt may have one. Who fucking knows? Try to find one with a decent amount of damage, a good reload stat, good stability, and honestly, that's all I think you need on the thing. But try different stat packages, okay? I have found that ones with good collateral are decent for crowd control because you just blast right through all them hoes. But if you want single target damage, kinda makes more sense to have one with high damage on it and good stability so that you can just spam shots without having to wait for it to recenter. That's kind of the whole shtick there about finding the stat packages you like, which one you want, is going to be different variations, different combinations of them that feel better, feel worse. You could end up with a really bad one on your first go and not even know it. But you could also end up with the fucking best one that you want without even knowing it too, until you empower the thing and get the blessings and the perks on it. You'll never know the full strength of this thing, or any other weapon for that matter, because, you know, you gotta level up the masteries on it to actually see the real deal weapon performances. It's just kind of how it is whenever you have levels on weapons and whatnot. They're not going to perform at their actual peak until you get it there, and it does take a little bit of doing to get them there. Not many people are willing to commit to those kinds of weapons. Like for me, there are a few that I don't like. For example, the Hellbore, like, fucking laser gun, right? On the veteran. I'm sure a lot of people think that thing needs a buff in some way, shape, or form. It's one of those that just doesn't feel good. Quite opposite to how this one is. I can only think of like one good thing on that gun, like ammo capacity or the sights. I kind of like the sights. But this thing has way more good than bad, right? You want to find the guns like that for you, the ones that have way more good than they do bad, and then build around them, you know? If you find that you need a heavy-hitting melee weapon to go with this thing, you have many, many options between the several classes that can run this damn thing, you know? You have options with this thing. And depending on what you choose, it's either going to be a really strong setup or you're going to have a really strong primary with like a decent secondary or whatever, you know? It's all about what you're looking for out of the weapons that you're choosing. All about what you're running on your class, all about what difficulty you're on, whatever. There's a lot of factors, man. Sometimes, you know, everything is going to be against you and you'll see that the pistol didn't help you at all. How many things would have helped you there, you know? There's going to be plenty of times where it's too easy and you don't even need to use the damn thing, you know? It's just one of those tools in the arsenal ready for when you need it, for when it is needed, the situation calls for it, whatever, man. It's one of those that you can rely on. You can call upon this weapon, and it will do the job for you. That is the beauty of the bolt pistol. It can get the job done relatively easy, and as long as you can aim the damn thing, you'll see a lot more success out of it. You know, in the beginning when I used it, I missed a lot. I didn't get a lot of success with it. The value wasn't there. But over time of using the damn thing, you know, it starts to show. It's all there. The magazine capacity doesn't even turn out to be a problem at times because if it takes more than 8 shots, you know, you're gonna need something heavier than a bolt pistol, you know? That's kind of the vibe this weapon has, in my opinion. It's got the heavy hitting shots. It's got so much in the thing, so much sauce in this weapon that, you know, you barely need to add anything on top of it to make it successful. Now, is it gonna be outdoing, I don't know, veterans and ogrins? Probably not. With certain setups that they have, they will just mop the floor with any of the specials that come their way. They won't even need your help, alright? But, you know, for the times where you don't have the god tier teammates, this thing will help a lot, okay? It's not like you need to have every single setup be godly, okay? You can have setups that aren't optimal, some that are kind of just middle of the pack. You can do whatever. If you're decent enough, you play at lower difficulties, whatever. You can manage it at higher difficulties if you're good. You can figure out that it carries you at lower difficulties if you need it. Just try the thing out eventually. See what I'm talking about? I'm sure many others have said the same thing about how good it is and sang its praise. The gun is just neat. You should try it out.